People often get scared about using posters because they're big. Well, being big is actually the beautiful part of posters. That's why they work so well. They're big, and so people see them. Smaller pieces of marketing materials tend to be ignored or binned, as anyone who's ever experienced using a flyering or leafleting campaign will have discovered. Posters are big, they're intrusive, and they're unavoidable. And the question that most obviously arises then is, okay, well, I've got a big poster site, now what am I going to fill it with? Well, the rules of the game are quite straightforward, and I'm going to show you just a few of my favorite examples for fun. Continuing Joan's political theme, this is a poster that brought down a government. Until this poster went up, there was no real mood in Britain to change the government. But those three words brought about a conservative, as it turns out in this case, landslide majority. And that just goes to show how three simple words and one very, very simple image worked together can do one of the most powerful things in the world, which is to change a democratically elected government. On the other hand, this poster site was possibly, arguably, even more popular than the preceding example. This one didn't change a government. Many might have wished that it had, if they can remember when it was run, but it did cause car crashes. I wonder if anybody can spot why. If you really want to get a simple message across, then you're much, much better concentrating on just the message. That is to say, forget the image, just concentrate on the words. If you've got a very, very powerful message like free beer here, free beer now, then run that message. Don't try to be too clever. Don't worry about creating images and logo types and all the stuff that ad men rave about. That message is pretty clear. Similarly, a message that expresses a particularly good offer. If that is the case, then run with that simple message. This is a very good example of virtually an unknown brand running a simple ad on a localized basis, alerting people to the fact that I'm from Newcastle. It's a Newcastle-based business that's running the campaign simply by putting their URL up there. In fact, in order to run this campaign, they changed their URL to do so. Very, very good rule. When you're trying to sell something, you should always be creating desire. Everybody knows that. But it's a very good rule. And indeed, when I'm dealing with salespeople that I don't know awfully well or I haven't worked with before, I very often put post-it notes onto their telephones and post-it notes inside their laptops so that when they open them up, they have a reminder, and the reminder is the two simple words, create desire. This poster doesn't do that at all. This poster tells you that there's a guy called Joe who sells some spades. If your business is selling spades, then what you should be actually be doing is selling the dream, which is a beautiful garden, because that's what you use a spade to create. So rather than trying to sell the spade, what you do is sell the idea of having a beautiful garden afterwards. So it's just a simple example that I've dreamt up. It's probably not a very good example, but it's designed to reinforce the idea that one should always be creating desire when selling. So if any of the advertisements that you might be planning to run, any of the marketing materials that you're putting together, helping to put together, or have any influence over, break any of those rules, then they should probably really be thought about a little bit more clearly. This is, I can see, funnily enough, a few people laughing. That's arguably one of the cleverest pieces of advertising that's been done. It's so simple that it's very hard to miss what's trying to be communicated, and there's actually no headline and no image, just a logo. That's all. Okay, it just happens that the poster itself is T-shaped, looks like a T-shirt, and therefore I suppose has to be the ultimate example of the medium becoming the message. We built up, in the run-up to our launch in March, a database of all of the billboards and poster sites in the UK. So every billboard that you see up and down the street and on the main roads, whether it's the type of billboard that you find at a bus shelter, bus stop, that you'd see on main shopping streets, or a large billboard twice the size of the screen behind me. All of those poster sites are accessible through a central database that you can find at signposter.com. Now, ordinarily, when you see businesses advertising on posters, it's always the same, isn't it? It's always Tesco and the AA, it's always Lloyd's TSB or Bank of Scotland. It's always famous national or global brands. And the reason that that's the case is that until signposter.com came along, it was very, very hard to buy just one poster or just all the posters targeting a particular part of town, a particular city, or an area of a particular city. Signposter now steps around all of that by allowing small to medium-sized enterprises to access the system online and find the one billboard that most suits their own particular business. Again, using the technology on our website, it's possible to create your own poster, so you can aspire to produce posters that look like some of the examples that I've just shown you. And you can use the website to upload all of your existing marketing elements, so your logos, typefaces, all of that sort of thing can be uploaded and rearranged so that you can create your own ads at your own desktop. And then with one push of a button, that ad will be printed out for you professionally by exactly the same printers that print all the advertisements for McDonald's and Gillette, and posted for you. The obvious question then is, okay, well, this is very interesting and very nice, but how much does it all cost? And to give you an example, a typical UK city centre poster site, the size that you would see, for instance, at a bus stop, would cost you around £350 for a fortnight, including the cost of printing and production. So if you compare that, for instance, to the cost of having a couple of people standing outside a metro station or standing outside your own business premises, dishing out flyers, then your budget would disappear in one day. As it is, if you spend your budget on poster advertising, you'll find that it'll last for a whole fortnight, and as I've already mentioned, the average poster site is seen by 180,000 people in that fortnight. So it's a very good entry-level way of getting involved in advertising and targeting it to exactly the right location. It's not, we'll pick a poster for you somewhere in Glasgow, it's I want exactly that poster on the corner of Cochrane Street, or whatever the example might be. I hope that helps to have given you a little bit more information about Signposter, a little bit more information about advertising, and a little bit more information about marketing. I'm very open to having questions